So this will be our course lecture for August 20th, 2021. And what we're going to be doing is using something called Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle can record videos and allow us to interact with questions and statements, etc. So we're going to try our lecture with dimensional analysis over again using this method. Some of y'all may have watched the YouTube video that I posted in the course discussion or course stream last class, which I do appreciate those who actually watched. However, I would like to make sure that everybody participates within these lectures and discussions. So, without further ado, what we're going to be looking at today is dimensional analysis. This is a fancy term from going to centimeters to inches, or from feet to millimeters. These are just your unit conversions. It's the exact same thing. So within last class, I was kind of trying to show you the importance of units. Here we have a mathematical statement of 0.5 minus 60 equals 11. This particular problem by itself is not true. However, if you use the correct units and you work with your conversions appropriately, this statement can be true if you use the units 0.5 days minus 60 minutes equals 11 hours. This can break down into half a day is 12 hours. You have 60 minutes per 1 hour. So you see where we got 12 minus 1. So that will equal 11 hours. So units are important. And if we look, we've been introduced to several different units throughout our entire careers in science. Mass is generally going to be grams, kilograms, and pounds. Volume is generally going to be your liters, milliliters, and centimeters. With this being physical science, we are really just looking at Fahrenheit and Celsius. And then length, of course, we know is inches, kilometers, centimeters, and millimeters. We're not really too worried about the amount. That's something that we look more at in chemistry. So we're not too worried about that. So, in order to convert something, there must be an equality standard. This means that to have 1 foot, we know that's going to have 12 inches. In 1 inch, there's going to be 2.54 centimeters. If we're looking at money, we know that 100 pennies is equal to $1. 10 dimes, again, is also equal to $1. And of course, the most common, we all know this, 4 quarters is equal to $1. So in order to convert something, you have to have that equivalence factor. Here's another one that you will need to have written down. If you have 1 pound, that will be equal to 454 grams. So all of these we'll have to know. So let's go ahead and start looking at our metric line. Metric system is what we use for science. And actually, with us living inside the United States, we use what's called the empirical system. And since the empirical system likes to convert things by either multiplying and dividing, it's made conversions a lot harder than what they really should be when we use the metric. So we'll go ahead and compare real quick. We'll start with the metric system. I tend to remember the metric system using the phrase, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. This is telling me that I have kilo, hecta, deca, and then my base, that is generally going to be grams, meters, or liters. Deci, centi, and milli. Our right side is generally going to be our smaller numbers, and our left side is going to be our bigger numbers. So let's look at a really simple conversion. This is going to be on slide 3. We are going to convert 4.76 kilometers into meters. I'm going to split this one into 2. So if I'm looking at 4.76, I'm going to look at what I have. The M tells me that I have meters, and the K tells me where on the number line or the metric line it's located. So I'm starting right here at kilo. I need to be at my base. So what I'm going to do is move my decimal. If you're moving along the metric line, converting is as simple as moving that decimal. So I'll be moving it 1, 2, 3 times to the right. So that decimal will move 1, 2, 3 times to the right. This empty space, that's where our 0 goes. So that means I don't have 4.76 anymore. I have 4,760. And don't forget our units. We went from kilometers to meters. It's the same thing with our milliliters to liters. If I'm starting off with 1,800 milliliters and converting to liters, L tells me I'm in liters. The little m tells me I'm at milli. So in this case, I am looking at milli, and I am wanting to convert to my base. So I'm going to pause it here, and I want for y'all to try to convert this yourself. You should end up getting 1, 2, 3, because we're moving that decimal 1, 2, 3 times, 2 liters, 1.8 liters. So let's look at something that's a little bit more direct. We're going to have 67,400 milligrams, and we're going to go to pounds. This is a two-step problem. I do not have a conversion factor that takes me directly to pounds. I have a conversion, however, from grams to pounds. So I know that I have 1 pound is equal to 454 grams. So I'm going to go from milligrams to grams, and then grams to pounds. So I'm starting off with milligrams, 67,400. I'm needing to convert that to grams. So again, I'm in milli. Grams is a base, so I will move it 1, 2, 3 times to the left. So that means 1, 2, 3. So I have 67.4 grams. Okay, so I've successfully gone to milligrams to grams. I now need to go from grams to pounds using my conversion factor. 1 pound equal to 454 grams. All right, so we're going to set up our conversion line. Think of these as fractions, and you can think of these straight lines as parentheses, okay? When we start a conversion going from a metric unit into our empirical system, in this case, our metric unit being grams and our empirical system being pounds, we've got to figure out, do we multiply or do we divide? And the easiest way to do this is by looking back on our math skills. If we pretend that our whole number is a fraction, we're going to assume that it will be over the number 1, because anything multiplied by 1 or divided by 1 will be itself. It'll still be that whole number. So 1 can just be our placeholder. In order to convert, grams has to disappear. In order for grams to disappear, our unit must be the same on top and bottom. So if grams are present on top, the grams must be on bottom. So that would mean grams would cancel. Now, again, I have grams and I have pounds. I have that conversion factor, so pounds can go on top. Looking at this conversion factor, I see that there's 1 pound per 454 grams. So this is our simple 2-step process. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can simply put into the calculator what you see here, parenthesis 67.4 divided by 1, parenthesis 1 divided by 454, and you can push equal. That's one way. Or you can do multiplying the top out. In this case, 67.4 times 1 will give you 67.4. Multiply your bottom out. 1 times 454 give you 454. And so you can simply, using a calculator on the computer or on your phone, or if you have a special calculator, you can use it. 67 divided by 4, or 67.4 divided by 454, and that should get you 0.148. Now we know grams canceled out, and we're left with pounds, so our units should be pounds. This process was a little bit longer, so I'm going to have you take a second, look at what you have. Look at the units. See how the units cancel out, top and bottom? So let's do one more problem. We're going to take it out to a 3-step. And we're going to look at converting feet into millimeters. So 5.85 feet to millimeters. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the camera down here. We're going to switch it up. Let's get a different pen color. All right, so I'm going to start with what I have. I have feet. What is smaller than a foot? An inch. Smaller than an inch, a centimeter. And using our metric line, we can go from centimeters to millimeters. So this is going to be our 1 2 3 steps. And we'll write it here. For 1 foot, there are 12 inches. There are 1 inch will be equal to 2.54 centimeters. So 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So let's start with what we have. We have 5.85 feet. We're going to imagine that this is a fraction, so then that way it's easier to mentally have this. And we know this is going to be a 3-step process. If I have my feet and I know I'm going to be ending in millimeters, I know that my unit of feet need to disappear. So remember, top and bottom cancel out. So I will put feet here on bottom. We know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So I know inches will go on top. Since I've filled in my units first, I can go in and put my numbers. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. All right, now that we know our inches and our feet, let's continue on. We know inches to centimeters is next. Inches needs to disappear, so top and bottom will cancel. Inches will go on top. And of course, we have our conversion for inches to centimeters. 2.54 centimeters, 1 inch. So centimeters will go on top. 1 inch, 2.54. All right, so let's see what we have so far. Let's do our math. 5.85 times 12 times 2.54. That should get us the number 178.3. Next step is our bottom. 1 times 1 times 1. Well, that means 1's our number. So now let's take this, 178.3 divided by 1. Well, that should equal 178.3. Now here's the question. Are we finished? No, not yet. Because while we canceled out feet, we canceled out inches, we're left in centimeters. Centimeters is not millimeters. We're going to use our metric line and we're going to convert it. So see, King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. If we're in centimeters and we need to get to millimeters, we're going to move that decimal 1 time to the right. So 178.3, move that decimal 1 time over. Our new number is 1,783 millimeters. That should be our final answer.